Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. Our health minister and premier have backed off and have decided not to make vaccines mandatory for healthcare workers after all. The mandate has also been cancelled in Ontario, which is making some people very happy and some people very angry. In Quebec, there has also been some softening of restrictions for obedient citizens. And our dear leader went off to shine at the COP26 and hopes to make Quebec a leader in the new green economy. If you like the video, thank you for hitting like and for subscribing, and thank you also for your support on Patreon. That keeps my channel going. Don't forget to subscribe to my new BitChute also. And in case you haven't stocked up yet, now it's a good time to stock up because, as you know, the ports are jammed in the US. There's starting to be some very real supply shortages. The Chinese government has told their people to stock up. Stocking up is a good idea. So if you haven't done it yet, I want to let you know that if you use the link below, you can get $50 off a 4-week supply of MREs from My Patriot Supply. This is food that is specially packaged to last 25 years, so it's ready when you need it. And if you buy a 3-month supply, you can get $200 off. So check out the link below for more information and a discount. Quebec has had to cancel the mandatory vaccination of the healthcare workers. As it turned out, they just couldn't lose any staff. Health Minister Christian Dubé said the province was facing 500 service reductions or reorganizations if it went ahead with the planned November 15th deadline for staff vaccines. So it was a no-go, and instead new hires only will be required to be vaccinated, and the rest of the workers will have to be tested 3 times a week. So more news for Quebec. Dancing and karaoke are to return to Quebec bars, and high school students can ditch masks. The government actually says you can start standing again in a bar, because the rule was if you were in a bar, you had to get your drink and then sit down and stay sitting. You literally were not allowed to stand in a bar. Well, now you have permission to stand and also to dance and to sing. How generous of our government. Isn't that nice? Also, yes, the secondary students no longer have to wear masks in class, and the bars and restaurants will no longer be keeping a register. A lot of people said, like, well, why would you take the masks off the high school students now? I think that the reason they're doing this is so that the parents of the younger children will see that, yes, once you reach a certain target vaccination rate, you can take the masks off, because a lot of the little kids are very upset to go to school with masks. A lot of their parents are upset about it too. And I think that removing the masks at a time like this, right before it gets approved for the younger kids, I think it's more of a PR strategy, honestly, to encourage people to get their younger kids vaccinated. Because people were saying, why now when the younger ones aren't vaccinated, why would you remove the mask in high school? But see, if they don't do that, then people are going to be like, well, what's the point of doing it? Because look at the high school students. They got vaccinated in the summer. 6 months later, they're still wearing masks. So I think that that's a strategic move. Also in Quebec ski lodges, full lifts open to the vaccinated. Actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but we have this huge long list of all the things that you are or are not allowed to do. If you don't have a vaccine passport, you're basically not allowed to do any kind of physical activity. I mean, you're allowed to go by yourself for a jog. You're allowed to sort of toss a basketball around outside with your friend. You're not allowed to participate in any organized sports unless it's like your study program at school, or it's something you're doing at school, but not after school. You're not even allowed to be in a rowboat with another person. Well, like, you're outside. So I'm not sure what the risk is. You were in the car with that person on your way over, but now you can't be in the rowboat with them. Well, this was done just to make the young people really, really want to get the shot. Like, it was done to encourage them. That's what they said. So downhill skiing, though, was permitted for the unvaxxed up until a few days ago. Now, oh no, it's not safe. No vaccine passports or capacity limits for Ontario skiers this winter. So in Quebec, you do have to get your shots, but in Ontario, you don't. So I guess if you didn't like the rules here, you could just go over the border and ski over there if you have the money. Proof of vaccination or negative COVID tests will be required at Alberta ski hills. Oh, so if you make it over to Alberta, you do have options. Yeah, it's very different from place to place. Ontario also, Ford won't impose COVID-19 vaccine mandate for Ontario healthcare workers. Premier suggests patient care could suffer if the mandate brought in. Again, like in Quebec, they basically just can't do it. Doctors are outraged as Ontario and Quebec deny COVID-19 vaccine mandates for healthcare workers. How can you have these unclean people working in the health system? You have to have them or you just have no one. And someone is better than no one. So you're just going to have to test them. They say Ford won't impose it. Look at him, he's taking off his mask. Oh my God. He's going to spread the COVID. They're saying that it was Ford who wouldn't impose it. But you know what really happened was there was a Bill 12. At least they're using their legislative process, unlike here in Quebec, where it all goes through the emperor and his henchmen. We don't even do this here anymore. Not for health stuff. Bill 12, mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations in the education and healthcare sector, Act 2021. So they actually did have this bill, and it got rejected. So the democratic process of Ontario, the Legislative Assembly, said no. So the doctors should keep that in mind. This was the will of the people. And in Quebec, the people didn't even have a say. The emperor had spoken, but then the emperor realized that what he had spoken might cause the death of many of the peons. And so in the end, he didn't want to look bad, and he had to back off. So don't be outraged. I think you should be more outraged that it's been a year and a half and our government is still ruling by decree. That's pretty outrageous. Anyway, there's also one more thing that I wanted to mention, that there's a new vaccine from Novavax that they say could help reduce vaccine hesitancy in the US. So this, if you haven't heard of it, it's not an mRNA vaccine. It's not an adenovirus vector DNA vaccine. It is a protein subunit vaccine, which was tested, found not to cause ADE. They say the side effects are a lot milder. They don't use any fetal cells in the production or the testing. So a lot of the concerns that people have had with the current vaccines, they might not have with this kind. The thing is, there's a lot of people out there who just don't want any vaccine, but at a certain point they get stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like if they lose their job or there's something else that they just can't live with, and they feel like, okay, fine, I'm going to get a vaccine. There's some of those people, they might be open to getting Novavax because it's totally different than the others. And apparently it's very effective. They say it's actually even better. Don't quote me on it. That's what I've read in the media, that it gives a broader immunity to more variants. That's what they're saying. So basically in the safety studies, there were no red flags for myocarditis, pericarditis, any kind of heart problems, strokes, massive strokes, strokes with low platelets, or anaphylaxis. There's no anaphylaxis, no Bell's palsy. So I think there's going to be some people that they weren't open to the other ones, but they might be open to this one. So they're probably right about that. Could reduce vaccine hesitancy in the US. We'll see how that goes. And one last thing, the discussion is moving quite a bit away from the pandemic and the COVID to the environment. Some of us were expecting that. Quebec is trying to provide hydroelectric power to Maine. They tried to have a big business deal that didn't work out. They didn't get it. Our great leader, François Legault, went to the big conference in Europe, the COP26. And I think he has great aspirations for bringing green energy to the world. And also in Quebec, as of 2030, you will no longer be able to buy a car that runs on gas. It's going to have to be an electric car. It's all about electricity. Electricity is green energy, which is why I don't understand this. Why is our government telling us to reduce electricity to the maximum? What they mean is reduce it to the minimum. This is a bad translation from French. You see, they want you to turn down your thermostat and keep your lights off to save electricity. I don't understand, because do you know how much electricity you're going to be using when all our energy comes from electricity, and including our cars? And you want us to turn down our heat? I don't understand. I thought that electricity was green energy and it was a good thing. And now you don't want us to use it? It's a bit mixed messages. I'm confused. Anyhow, that's the roundup. So yes, I think we narrowly averted disaster here in Quebec. Well, our government thankfully came to their senses at the last minute. And there's been some loosening of the restrictions for some people. And if you feel too restricted here, you might take a little trip over to Ontario for the day, or maybe just move there if you really don't like it, if you can't take it anymore over here, because the rules and restrictions vary very much from province to province. And so that's it. I hope you found that interesting. And thanks for liking the video. Thank you for joining me in the chat. Thank you again for your support on Patreon. And don't forget to check out the link below for the MREs from My Patriot Supply. That's preparewithtruthorgirls.com. You get $50 off a 4-week supply and $200 off a 3-month supply. So check it out. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.